The security of a cryptocurrency wallet ultimately comes down to one thing: randomness. That's really all a Bitcoin wallet is, a random number that would take a computer an impossibly long time to guess. That random number then becomes the source of security for every transaction you ever perform. As many Coinkite customers sadly found out last week, coming up with a big random number like that is a bit harder than you might think. A well-designed hardware or software wallet should create one securely, but you're relying on the hardware, software, firmware, random number generator of the device that you're using, and that is a lot of different points that can all fail. It's really hard to trust computers, but in this case we don't actually have to. We can one-up computers in the analog world, and all you need is a 6-sided die. Okay, that wasn't entirely true. You're also going to need a pen, this handy worksheet that I've created for you, and you're going to need to get subscribed to the channel. Once you've done all of that, we can get going. It's important to know that this is an advanced setup, and any mistakes could lead to the loss of your Bitcoin. By the time we finish, we'll have verified everything was made correctly, but you should still watch this whole video first to understand the process, and probably practice the whole process with an empty wallet before you transfer a meaningful amount. What we're gonna have to do, basically, is roll this die 70 to 80 times, and I know that's so hard, it's so much work, but I think if you asked anybody whose wallet's been hacked, they would say it's totally worth taking the time to do this. So I hope you go through this whole process with me. We're going to start by rolling the die, and we are going to fill in every box on this piece of paper depending on what we roll, 1 digit per box. So in this case I rolled a 6, and I have here on my little chart that a 6 corresponds to a 1, and so we're going to fill in a 1 in this first box here. Then we're going to roll again, and I got a 3 this time, and a 3 is a 1 and a 0 on this table, and so we're going to do a 1 in this next box and then a 0 in the one after that. 1 digit per box. And we're going to continue doing this until we've filled out all of the boxes on this page. I got a 6, that'll be another 1, and then these numbers are going to be how we find out which words we are using in a completely random way. And it's important to note, if you get a lot of numbers in a row, like if you roll the same number a couple of times, roll a sequence like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, or if you just see a bunch of zeros on your page or ones, you don't want to change any of these numbers to make them seem more random to you. When you change the numbers to fit your bias of what randomness looks like, that actually makes it less random, and we want to eliminate any possible source of non-randomness. You've got to trust the die on this one. Long strings of numbers that are the same, long sequences of repeated dice rolls or die rolls that are in a sequence, that's all perfectly normal. Don't sweat it, just keep doing it. It shouldn't be a problem. And if we get to the end and there's 1 box left and you get 2 digits, you can just do the first one. It doesn't really impact anything, 1 being cut off. Now, we've gotten all of our numbers. And what we're now going to do is add all of them up so we can figure out the decimal number that these binary numbers correspond to. And so I have the numbers at the top of this table here, and then for every column that has a 1 in it, we are going to add that number together and sum it all up. So for example, in this first one I have a 1 here, so that's going to be 1024 plus 512. Because I have another 1, then we'll skip this one and do plus 128 plus 64 plus 32, skip these zeros, plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. And we want to figure out what that adds up to, and we are going to probably want to use a calculator. Make sure you use a regular calculator like this, not the calculator on your smartphone. The security of your seed phrase and all of these numbers, which do make up your seed phrase, is critical, and you never want to enter in any of the data on this sheet, whether it's the numbers or the words or what they add up to, into any sort of computer, any sort of internet connected device, and that does include your smartphone and the calculator app on your smartphone. So find a regular calculator to do all of this, or if you're really good at math, add it up in your head. Anyways, we are going to enter 1024 plus 512 plus 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. And we'll get a result of 17 67, and that number is going to correspond to the first word in our seed phrase. And then we'll move on to our second number here, and we'll do the same thing. So that's 1024, because the first one has a 1 in it, plus 256, plus 64, plus 32, plus 16, plus 2, plus 1. Enter that in, and our second word is going to be at 1395. And we'll look at the list where these words are going to come from in a second, but just finish and go through the rest of these 12. I'll do that now, and we'll go from there. We're going to continue doing that until we have all 12. Okay, we've added up all of our numbers. So what do we do next? Well, all of these numbers that we've just come up with are going to correspond to a word on this word list. And I know on mine, they're all very small. I wanted to fit them all on one page, but I'll have this list linked in the description so you can download it, make it as big as you want, whatever. It's the standard English word list for a seed phrase like this, and it is numbered 0 through 2047, a lot of words. The important thing with this word list that I have, or that I'll link to, is that I've split it up into sections of 16 words each. This doesn't matter right now, but it is going to matter in a minute. That's the difference between the word list that I'll share with you here and one that you might find if you search for it online or something like that. So we're going to go through, for example, find the first one on my list, that is 1767. So we got to go find 1767, and that word is table. So I'll write down table, and that will be the first word of my seed phrase. And then we'll go on to the next one, 1395, which is purpose. Purpose. And that is my second word. And we will continue doing this until we get all 12. We're going to have to do something special for the last one. If you know how these past phrases work, you might know why, but otherwise I will explain why in a minute. So I'll see you after you've found all of those words. One thing I should note about this whole list really quick, if you're looking at this list on your computer instead of having it printed out like I do, you do not want to use Control F and look for the number that you're looking for. You don't want to search for the word. Just like not wanting to use your smartphone calculator, you don't want to enter in any of this data into your computer, and Control F to search certainly counts. There are other things you could keep in mind as well. For example, if you're viewing this list on a website, that website could potentially track how far down you've scrolled, and that might give them some insight into the words that you're choosing. If there's malware or a keylogger on your computer, that could potentially be used to find those words as well if you're typing in the numbers like that. So you never want to enter anything into your computer related to this data. Don't search for the numbers. You've got to go through the list and look for them yourself. You can download the list and look through it in a text editor if you're worried about that scrolling thing, or you can just print out the list and have it in front of you. Maybe you'll want to print it a bit bigger and use a couple more pages. Just make sure you stay secure. If you're entering any of this data using your keyboard, you're doing something wrong. So at this point, I have my 12 words, and people who know how these phrases work are yelling at me. You're saying, that's not the right word. You can't just randomly generate the 12th word. And that's true because the last 4 bits of the 12th word are a checksum of the rest of the data. They're not random. Basically, the checksum in the 12th word is there to, in theory, make sure that you've entered your words correctly, so it can quickly check whether the phrase is correct or incorrect. So just randomly saying 0110 as the last 4 bits has a 1 in 16 chance of being right, but it probably isn't my actual word cycle here. There's a couple of ways to find out what the 12th word actually is. The mathematical way involves taking a SHA-256 hash of all this other data, then taking the first few bits of that hash and using that as the checksum. There's some computer scripts that can do that for you, but if you use those scripts, that creates a bit of a challenge because now you have to enter in all of this data into a computer. I'd have to tell you how to set up an air-gapped computer offline, use tails, do all of this stuff that you probably don't want to do because it's a lot of work for a one-time process. So I'm going to tell you an alternative method that I've come up with, and this is where those groups on my word list comes in. All we're going to do is find the word that we did generate, cycle in my case at number 438, and we're going to find it on the list here. Right there, cycle, and we're going to take a look at the 16 words around it, split up like this. So in this case, that's going to be 432 through 447, and I printed out a zoomed in version so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Cycle is my word right here, and this group are the 16 possibilities for that 12th word that I have. Cycle's one of them, but it's probably going to be one of the other ones. All of the other words on the list we can just ignore. And basically what we're going to do is guess which one it is. We'll have to guess up to 16 times, and we'll do that by entering in all of this stuff into the wallet of our choice. So this does depend a bit on what wallet you want to use. If you have a hardware wallet, you could use a Trezor device or a Ledger. Typically, these are the ones that I look at the most because they have good Monero support, which is a must-have, I think, for people who are really interested in privacy. You could also try entering all of this stuff into a software wallet of your choice, something like Cake Wallet, for example. I can restore the wallet, enter seed or phrase, hit Bitcoin, and enter it in there. Now, if you use a software wallet, that's going to be less secure than a hardware wallet, of course, because part of the goal with doing this very securely in the first place is to never enter in any of these words into an internet-connected device like your smartphone. That being said, this still does have benefits if you're going to use a software wallet on your phone or otherwise, because we have at least guaranteed that all of these words are completely randomly generated. So we're not relying on the random number generator in my phone to come up with a seed phrase for me. We have a perfectly random one that we're using. This does prevent certain exploits, like attacks against the random number generator, like what Coldcard products just experienced recently and has affected other software wallets in the past. So it does protect you from that, but you're not going to be protected from malware on your phone, screen recorders, or anything like that on your device. Software wallets, as many people will tell you, are much less secure than hardware wallets, but they are an option. The hardware wallets, on the other hand, they are never going to run software that connects to the internet themselves. You're going to connect them to an internet-connected device. And everything that you do in the wallet app on your device, like your phone or your computer, is going to show up on the screen of your hardware wallet where you can verify it. So it'll give you a confirmation and it'll show you all the details so that whatever's on your phone can't lie to you and make you approve something that you didn't actually mean to approve of. Hardware wallets, gold standard of security, and really you should be using one if you have more than $1,000 or so in cryptocurrency. They're all going to have a restore wallet feature, so you'll get a brand new hardware wallet. You're going to choose that restore from seed option, and then you're going to enter the 12 words we just came up with here. Pretty much all of them should be the same process. For the purposes of this demo though, I'm just going to enter this phrase I've made into a software wallet, Cake Wallet, here on my phone, just a bit quicker here. Since I haven't reset any of these hardware wallets. But again, this part is going to be the same no matter what wallet you decide to use. Basically, only one of these words is going to be valid. I'm going to first enter the first 11 words of my phrase into my wallet here. And then when I have the first 11 entered, I'm pretty much going to go down this list one by one and enter them as the 12th one and see if they work. So for first one, I'll enter current in my case and hit restore. And it'll say it has an incorrect format because that is not the word. So I know it's not current. Then I'll have to go back, replace that 12th word with curtain, hit restore, and again, incorrect. And I'll just continue going down this list until I find one that actually does work. And there we go. That one worked. So I know that the correct word for my seed phrase is cute. It's not cycle, so I want to make sure I write that down. And now I have the 12 words that make up the seed phrase for my wallet. Now I can send, receive, do whatever I want. And I know that the randomness of this is guaranteed. And yeah, it is a little annoying to have to make so many attempts to figure out what that last word is. Luckily, I only had to do 6, but sometimes you have to do all 16 at the very most. I do think that this process is a little bit easier than setting up a whole air-gapped computer workflow with tails to calculate it yourself, though, so hopefully it's fine. And there you have it. This is the seed phrase, all 12 words. It's been created with the randomness of the universe rather than some software on your device. And I would definitely recommend backing this up securely. Absolutely. Test it out with a small transaction. Restore this wallet to a new device to make sure everything transfers over as you expect and everything works before you put all of your money into it. But that is pretty much the entire process to come up with a seed phrase on your own. I've been Jonah from Privacy Guides. If you found this helpful, please consider donating at privacyguides.org/donate. We are a nonprofit dedicated to personal privacy and cybersecurity, and we publish all sorts of videos and content on our website related to this sort of thing all the time. We want to help as many people as we can. If you did like this video, definitely check out our last video right here, and I will see you in the next one.